The alarm bells rang through the great hall of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Hyun-Ki sat at his desk, watching the emergency message appear on his screen. His hands shook as he read the words. This was the worst news the galaxy had ever received. Vex Collective had broken through. 12 whole star systems were gone, not destroyed, gone, eaten, consumed by creatures that no one understood and no one could stop. Hyun-Ki stood up and walked to the center of the hall. Around him, hundreds of alien beings from different worlds sat in their special chairs. Some had 6 arms. Others breathed different air. But today, they all looked scared. "The outer rim has fallen," Hyun-Ki announced. His voice carried through the hall using special machines. "The Vex have eaten the Kellen system. The bright worlds are dark. The crystal cities of Altion are dust." Council Speaker Dae-ho rose from his tall chair. He was old, even for his long-lived race. His blue skin was pale with worry. "Tell us the numbers, Ambassador." Hyun-Ki looked at his datapad. The numbers were terrible. 12 systems, 4 billion beings, all gone in 3 standard cycles. "The Vex fleet grows stronger with each world they consume," a female voice called out from the council seats. "What about our weapons? What about the great fleets?" "The Kitharon Empire sent their best ships," Hyun-Ki replied. "Ships with quantum, cannons that could crack moons. The Vex ate the energy and grew stronger. The Mindari tried their mind attacks. The creatures absorbed the thoughts and used them as food. Fear filled the hall. These were the most advanced races in the galaxy. They had ruled space for thousands of years. But now something was eating them all. The bioships adapt to everything. We throw at them," Dae-ho said sadly. "Every weapon we use makes them stronger. Every attack teaches them how to fight us better." Old General Tae-min stepped forward. He commanded the council's defense forces. His gray hair was cut short, and his uniform was covered in medals from many wars. "We have one option left," he said quietly. The hall went silent. Everyone knew what he meant, but no one wanted to say it. "The humans," whispered someone. "The Deathworlders," said another voice. Hyun-Ki felt sick thinking about it. Humans were banned from the galaxy for good reason. They came from a world called Earth, or Terra as they called it. It was listed as a Class 3 death world, the most dangerous type of planet that could still support life. Their world was a nightmare. Giant storms that could level cities, earthquakes that split continents, animals that hunted other animals for sport, plants that were poisonous to touch. The whole planet was trying to kill everything on it all the time, and somehow, humans had not just survived there. They had become the top predator. "You cannot be serious," said Counselor Bitna from the Peaceful Worlds Alliance. "Humans are too violent, too unpredictable. That is why we put them in quarantine 50 years ago. They tried to solve a trade dispute by threatening to blow up a moon," added another voice. "They brought weapons to a peace conference," said a third. Hyun-Ki had read the files. Humans were terrifying. They fought wars against each other for fun. They jumped out of flying machines for entertainment. They ate foods that were poisonous to most other species. When other races saw danger, they ran away. When humans saw danger, they ran toward it. But the Vex were coming, and nothing else had worked. "The motion is before the council," Dae-ho announced, formally. "Do we contact the humans for help?" The debate was loud and angry. Some council members shouted that it was too dangerous. Others said humans could not be trusted. A few brave voices said it was their only hope. Finally, the vote was called. The results appeared on the big screen. It was close, but the yes votes won. Hyun-Ki was chosen to send the message. He sat at his communication station and opened a channel to the Sol system. The signal would take hours to reach Earth. He began recording. This is Ambassador Hyun-Ki of the Galactic Council, sending an emergency message to the human government of Earth. We need your help. He paused, thinking about how to explain the situation. How do you tell a violent species that the galaxy is being eaten? A force called the Vex Collective is destroying our worlds. They cannot be stopped by conventional weapons. 12 systems have fallen. Billions are dead. We are offering immediate citizenship in the Galactic Council, full trade rights, and an end to your quarantine. In exchange, we ask for your military assistance. He stopped the recording and looked at it. It seemed too simple, too clean. He started again. We know you have been isolated. We know you think we treated you unfairly. You are probably right. But children are dying out here. Entire races are being wiped out. We need warriors, and you are the best warriors we know. He sent the message and sat back. Now they had to wait. On Earth, Captain Min-ho was working late at the New Sol orbital station when the message arrived. He was a career soldier who had spent his whole life preparing for wars that never came. The quarantine had kept humans locked in their own system for 50 years. He read the message 3 times before believing it. Then he called Admiral So Young. "Ma'am, you need to see this," he said when she answered. Admiral So Young was the head of Earth's space fleet. She was small but tough, with short black hair and serious eyes. She had been fighting for years to get the quarantine lifted. She read the message in silence. When she finished, she looked up at Min-ho. "Call an emergency meeting. All senior staff. We are going to war." The news spread quickly through the Earth fleet. After 50 years of being treated like criminals, they finally had a chance to prove themselves. They could show the galaxy what humans were really capable of. In the Galactic Council Hall, Ambassador Hyun-Ki waited for a reply. He hoped the humans would say yes, but part of him was afraid of what would happen if they did. The galaxy was about to learn why Earth was called a death world, and why the things that survived there were so very dangerous. The Sol system had never been busier. Every shipyard around Earth was working day and night. Sparks flew from welding torches as workers attached new weapons to human ships. The sound of hammering metal echoed through space. Captain Tae-jin stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the chaos outside. His vessel was being fitted with weapons that the galaxy had never seen before. While other races used clean energy beams, humans were loading their ships with missiles, bullets, and bombs. "Captain, the new gun is ready for testing," said Engineer Hyejin over the communication system. She was one of Earth's best weapon makers. Her job was to turn human ships into killing machines. Tae-jin walked down to the weapon deck. The new gun was huge and ugly. It looked nothing like the pretty laser cannons that other races used. This weapon was designed to throw heavy metal at very high speed. "What does it fire?" Tae-jin asked. "Depleted uranium slugs," Hyejin replied, with a grin. "Each one weighs 50 kilograms and moves at 30% light speed. When it hits something, it does not just make a hole. It turns the target into dust." Tae-jin nodded. Humans had learned long ago that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. While aliens fought with energy, humans still believed in throwing rocks really, really hard. Down on Earth, weapons specialist Dongwu was working in a secret laboratory. His job was to create chemical weapons that would work against the Vex. He had been studying the reports from the fallen worlds. The Vex are biological, he said to his team. They are living creatures, which means they can get sick. Dongwu had created toxins that could kill almost anything that breathed. He mixed poisons from Earth's deadliest plants and animals. Cobra venom, spider toxins, and gases that could melt metal. The weapons he made would terrify any civilized species. If they want to eat our worlds, Dongwu said as he sealed another chemical warhead, they are going to get a very bad stomachache. Colonel Ji-hoon was training soldiers for boarding actions. While other races fought their wars from far away, humans planned to get up close. Very close. Listen up, Ji-hoon shouted at his troops. These aliens have never fought anyone crazy enough to board their ships. They think space combat means staying far apart and shooting pretty lights at each other. The soldiers laughed. They were wearing new armor that looked like mechanical monsters. Each suit was powered by small nuclear reactors and armed with chainsaws, flamethrowers, and explosive charges. When we board their ships, we are not going there to talk, Ji-hoon continued. We are going there to break things and kill everything that moves. Remember, there are no civilians on a Vex ship. Everything there wants to eat you. Private Yun-ji raised her hand. She was young but had already proven herself in combat simulations. Sir, what if we get trapped inside? Then we blow ourselves up and take them with us, Ji-hoon replied without hesitation. Better to die fighting than to be eaten alive. The soldiers nodded. This was the human way. Never surrender, never give up. If you were going to die, make it expensive for the enemy. Fleet Admiral Wonsik called a meeting of all ship captains. The conference room was full of experienced warriors. These men and women had been preparing for this moment their whole lives. The galaxy thinks we are savages, Wonsik began. They are right. Our world made us into killers because only killers could survive there. Now they need killers, and they called us. He activated a hologram showing the Vex ships. The alien vessels looked like giant insects crossed with sea creatures. They were ugly and terrifying. These things adapt to energy weapons, Wonsik explained. They learn and evolve, but they have never fought anyone like us. We do not just use energy. We use fire, poison, nuclear bombs, and our bare hands if we have to, Captain Young-soo spoke up. What about their numbers? The reports say there are thousands of them. Then we kill thousands, Wonsik replied simply. Earth has been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know how to fight when we are outnumbered. We know how to win when winning seems impossible. In her laboratory, scientist Mi Young was working on something special. She had been studying samples of Vex tissue that the Council had provided. The alien creatures were impressive, but they had a weakness. They share a neural network, Mi Young explained to her assistants. All Vex creatures are connected by biological signals. It makes them strong because they can think as one mind, but it also makes them vulnerable. She held up a small vial filled with blue liquid. This is a virus I created. It attacks their neural connections. When one Vex gets infected, it spreads to all of them through their network. Their greatest strength becomes their greatest weakness. Mi Young had based her virus on diseases from Earth. Human diseases were particularly nasty because Earth was such a dangerous world. The planet had taught its children to be survivors, and that included learning how to make very effective biological weapons. Admiral So Young stood in the command center, watching the final preparations. Around her, screens showed the entire human fleet getting ready for war. She felt proud and scared at the same time. "Admiral, all ships report ready," announced Commander Na Young. So Young nodded. She had dreamed of this day for years. Finally, humans would be free of their quarantine. Finally, they could show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. "Send a message to the Council," So Young ordered. "Tell them the Earth fleet is coming. Tell them we will handle the Vex problem." She paused and smiled grimly. "And tell them to clear the space lanes. When humans go to war, we do not slow down for traffic." The message was sent across the galaxy. Ambassador Hyun Ki received it at the council chambers and felt both relief and fear. Help was coming, but that help came with sharp teeth and no mercy. On Earth, families gathered to watch their sons and daughters leave for war. This was not like the clean conflicts other species fought. This was going to be bloody, violent, and terrible, but it was also necessary. Captain Min Ho stood on the bridge of his ship as the fleet began to move. Around him, hundreds of human vessels formed into attack formations. They did not look like the elegant ships of other races. They looked like flying fortresses built for war. "All ships, this is Admiral So Young," came the voice over the communication system. "We are heading to our first real war in 50 years. The galaxy is watching. Our enemies are waiting. Show them why Earth is called a death world." The human fleet jumped to hyperspace. They were going to save the galaxy whether the galaxy wanted to be saved or not. And they were going to do it in the most human way possible, with overwhelming violence and absolutely no concern for looking civilized while doing it. Behind them, Earth continued to prepare for war. Factories worked around the clock making weapons. Training centers taught soldiers how to fight in space. The whole planet had become a war machine. The galaxy had asked for help from the Death World. Now they were going to get it. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the Kepler defense line. Commander Jin Woo looked out at the massive battle that was already happening. Alien ships with beautiful curved hulls were fighting against horrible black creatures that looked like they were made of living metal and flesh. "This is Commander Jin Woo of the Human Expeditionary Force," he said into his communication device. "We are here to kill everything that needs killing." The alien fleet commander, a being called Veltar, replied quickly. His voice sounded confused and scared. "Humans? You actually came? We thought the council was making a joke." "We do not joke about war," Jin Woo replied. "Where do you want us?" On the screen, Jin Woo could see the Vex ships. They were even more horrible than the pictures had shown. The creatures looked like giant bugs crossed with sea monsters. Their hulls moved and breathed like they were alive, which they probably were. Captain Sok Min commanded the ship called Soul's Fury. His vessel looked nothing like the pretty alien ships around them. It was angular, heavily armored, and covered in weapon turrets. It looked like a flying tank. "Captain, the aliens are fighting with energy beams," reported his weapons officer. "The Vex ships are absorbing the energy and getting stronger." Seok Min watched the battle through his scope. The alien ships fired beautiful streams of light at the Vex creatures. But every time a beam hit, the Vex ship just grew bigger and more dangerous. "Idiots," Seok Min muttered. "They are feeding them." Major Kyung Ho was studying the enemy from his observation post. He had been trained to understand how alien enemies fought. What he saw worried him. "The Vex adapt in real time," he reported to command. "Every weapon the aliens use, the creatures learn to resist it within minutes. They are like biological computers that rewrite themselves during battle." Commander Na Young was calculating attack patterns from her command ship. She watched as a group of elegant alien cruisers fired their best weapons at a Vex bioship. The creature absorbed the energy blasts and then fired back with the same type of weapons, but stronger. They are not just adapting, Na Young realized. They are learning and improving on everything they see. Admiral So Young received all the reports from her flagship. Around her, the human fleet waited in formation. They had not fired a single shot yet. They were watching and learning. "Ma'am, the alien fleet is failing," reported her communications officer. "They are asking us to help them retreat." So Young smiled coldly. "Tell them we did not come here to run away. All ships, prepare for attack. Show them how Deathworlders fight." The human fleet suddenly changed formation. Instead of staying far away like civilized species, they charged directly at the enemy. Captain Young-Su's destroyer, called Incheon's Wrath, led the charge. "Ramming speed!" Young-Su ordered. The aliens watching could not believe what they were seeing. The humans were flying their ships directly at the enemy like missiles. This was not how space battles were supposed to work. Young-Su's ship hit the Vex bio creature at full speed. Instead of exploding, the human ship's reinforced hull punched right through the alien creature's body. But Young-Su was not done. "All hands, prepare for boarding action," he announced. The human ship was now inside the Vex creature. Young-Su and his crew put on their combat armor and began cutting their way through the bioship's corridors with chainsaws and flamethrowers. Lieutenant Yoon-ji led the first boarding team. She carried a weapon that sprayed acid and another that shot fire. Behind her, human soldiers followed with explosive charges and metal-cutting tools. "Remember," Yoon-ji told her team as they cut through a wall made of living flesh, "everything in here wants to eat us, so we eat it first." The Vex creatures inside the ship had never faced anything like this. They were used to fighting from a distance with energy weapons. They had never fought enemies that would actually climb inside their ships and fight them hand to hand. The human soldiers moved through the bioship like a disease. They set fires that could not be put out. They planted bombs that melted metal. They used weapons that filled the air with poison gas. Back in space, the other human ships were using different tactics. Captain Seok Min's Soul's Fury was firing its new kinetic weapons. Instead of energy beams, his guns shot massive chunks of metal at incredible speed. The depleted uranium slugs hit the Vex ships like hammers hitting eggs. The creatures had adapted to absorb energy, but they could not absorb 50 kilograms of metal moving at light speed. The slugs punched clean through their hulls and kept going. "Target destroyed," reported the weapons officer with satisfaction. Weapons specialist Dong Wu was launching his chemical warheads from a cruiser called Busan's Revenge. Each missile contained toxins that could kill almost any living thing. When they exploded against the Vex ships, clouds of deadly gas spread through their biological systems. The Vex creatures began to convulse and die. They had never encountered poisons from a death world before. Their adaptation systems could not cope with toxins that had evolved on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Dr. Mi Young was aboard the medical ship Soul Hope, but she was not treating wounded. She was launching her viral weapons. The blue liquid she had created was loaded into special missiles that would break open when they hit. When the virus hit the first Vex ship, something amazing happened. The creature immediately began to weaken, but more importantly, the virus spread through the neural network that connected all the Vex creatures. Within minutes, every Vex ship in the battle was infected. Their shared consciousness, which had been their greatest strength, became the pathway for their destruction. Admiral So Young watched the battle from her command ship. The tide was turning. The Vex fleet, which had seemed unstoppable, was falling apart. "This is Admiral So Young to all ships," she announced. "The enemy is breaking. Press the attack. Give them no mercy." The human fleet moved in for the kill. They fired nuclear missiles that exploded in brilliant flashes. They launched swarms of smaller ships that attached to the Vex creatures like parasites and exploded. They used every dirty trick that centuries of warfare had taught them. The alien fleet that had been losing the battle could only watch in amazement. The humans were not just winning, they were completely destroying an enemy that had seemed unbeatable. Commander Veltar contacted Admiral So Young. "How are you doing this? Our weapons barely scratched them." "You were fighting them the wrong way," So Young replied. "You used energy weapons, so they adapted to energy. You fought from a distance, so they learned long-range tactics. You followed the rules of civilized warfare." She paused and looked at the burning remains of the Vex fleet. "We do not fight fair. We fight to win." Colonel Ji-hoon's boarding teams had now taken control of 3 Vex bioships. They moved through the alien vessels like army ants, destroying everything they found. When they reached the central nervous systems of the creatures, they planted. "Nuclear charges! All teams, this is Ji-hoon. Prepare for extraction. We are blowing this place in 30 seconds. The human soldiers ran back to their ships as the Vex bio-creatures exploded from the inside. It was brutal, efficient, and completely terrifying to watch. The battle was over in less than 2 hours. The entire Vex fleet was destroyed. The human fleet had lost only 3 ships, and those had taken hundreds of enemies with them. For the first time in the history of the galaxy, the Vex Collective had been defeated in open battle, and they had been defeated by creatures from a quarantined death world who fought with weapons and tactics that civilized species considered barbaric. Admiral So Young opened a communication channel to the entire Allied fleet. "This is the human expeditionary force. The immediate threat has been neutralized. We are ready to pursue the enemy to their home worlds if necessary." The galaxy had cried out for help. The Deathworlders had answered with shock and terror. The human fleet did not stop after the first victory. Admiral So Young ordered them to chase the surviving Vex ships through hyperspace. This was something no galactic fleet had ever done before. When civilized species won a battle, they stopped to count their dead and celebrate. Humans kept hunting. Captain Jae-won commanded the nuclear cruiser Gwangju's Hammer. His ship was designed to fight at close range with the most dangerous weapons humans had ever built. Nuclear missiles, radiation bombs, and fusion warheads filled his weapon bays. "Captain, we are detecting 3 Vex bioships trying to escape," reported his scanning officer. "They are heading for the outer colony worlds." "Not anymore, they are not," Jae-won replied grimly. "All weapons! Arm nuclear warheads! We are going in close." The alien commanders watching from their safe ships could not believe what they were seeing. Jae-won's cruiser was flying directly into the formation of enemy bioships. At point-blank range, he launched nuclear missiles. The explosions lit up space like new suns. Jae-won's ship was caught in the radiation blast from his own weapons, but human ships were built to survive such things. The Vex creatures were not. "Acceptable losses," Jae-won reported as his crew worked to repair radiation damage. 3 enemy ships destroyed, no human casualties. The concept of acceptable losses horrified the alien observers. Civilized species would never willingly expose their own ships to nuclear radiation, but humans from the death world of Earth were used to living in dangerous conditions. Dr. Sung Min was aboard the biowarfare ship called Daigu's Poison. His job was to deploy the viral weapons that Mi Young had created, but the virus was working. better than anyone had expected. The neural network is collapsing across their entire fleet, Sungmin reported with excitement. Every Vex creature within 10 light-years is being affected. Their shared consciousness is killing them. The Vex bioships began to behave strangely. Some of them started attacking each other. Others simply stopped moving and drifted in space like dead things. The perfect unity that had made them so dangerous was now tearing them apart. Colonel Ji-hoon was leading boarding actions on ships that were still partially alive. His soldiers had developed new tactics for fighting inside living vessels. When Sergeant Bitna's squad got trapped in what looked like a stomach, they used thermal charges to burn their way out. Remember, Ji-hoon told his teams over the radio, these ships are like giant animals. Find the brain, find the heart, and destroy both. If it bleeds, we can kill it. The human soldiers moved through the bioships like antibodies fighting an infection. They carried weapons that no civilized species would ever use. Acid sprayers that dissolved living tissue, flamethrowers that burned at temperatures hot enough to melt steel, explosive charges that could crack the strongest bones. When Bitna's team reached the central nerve cluster of a bioship, they found something that looked like a giant brain made of black jelly. It pulsed with alien thoughts and whispered in languages that hurt to hear. "Burn it," Bitna ordered. Her soldiers doused the thing with flammable gel and set it on fire. The entire bioship screamed through space as its brain died. The sound was so horrible that several alien ships turned off their communication systems. Admiral Won-sik was commanding the pursuit from his flagship, the Soul Destroyer. He had been studying reports from all the battles, and he was beginning to understand something important about the Vex. They adapt to each weapon individually, Won-sik explained to his staff. But they cannot adapt to everything at once. If we hit them with nuclear fire, acid, poison gas, viruses, and kinetic weapons all at the same time, their systems overload. He opened a channel to the entire human fleet. "All ships, this is Won-sik. New battle plan. When we find the next Vex, group, everyone attacks with different weapons at the same time, make them choose what to adapt to, then kill them while they are confused." The strategy worked perfectly. When the humans found the next group of Vex bioships, they unleashed everything they had. Nuclear explosions, chemical clouds, viral infections, and solid metal projectiles all hit the enemy at once. The Vex creatures tried to adapt, but their systems could not handle so many different attacks. They flickered between different defensive modes, never settling on one long enough to be effective. The human fleet destroyed them easily. Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Hyun-ki was watching battle reports with growing amazement and horror. The humans were winning, but their methods were terrifying. "They just detonated nuclear weapons in their own formation," reported one observer. "They are spraying poison gas that would kill most known life forms," said another. "Their soldiers are fighting inside enemy ships with handheld weapons," added a third voice. "They are using chainsaws and flamethrowers in space combat." Council Speaker Dae-ho looked pale. "Are they winning?" "Yes," Hyun-ki replied quietly. "They are destroying the Vex faster than we ever thought possible. But they are doing it in ways that no civilized species would ever consider." The human fleet had now been fighting for 6 days without rest. Captain Young-soo's destroyer had been boarded by Vex creatures twice, and both times his crew had fought them off in hand-to-hand combat. His ship looked like it had been through a meat grinder, but it was still fighting. "Captain, we have engine." "Damage," reported his chief engineer. "We cannot keep up with the fleet." "Then we go down fighting," Young-soo replied. "Signal the Admiral. Tell her we will hold this position and take as many enemies with us as we can." But Admiral So Young had other plans. Negative, Young Su. Help is coming. Captain Tae-jin's heavy cruiser came alongside the damaged destroyer. Using magnetic clamps and emergency bridges, his crew began transferring supplies and repair equipment. The two ships fought side by side while repairs were made. This was another human tactic that amazed the aliens. Other species would abandon damaged ships or retreat for repairs. Humans fixed their ships during battle and kept fighting. The viral weapons continued to spread through the Vex neural network. Dr. Mi-young monitored the infection from her laboratory ship. The virus was mutating and adapting, becoming more deadly as it spread. It is learning from their own adaptation systems, Mi-young reported with satisfaction. We gave them a disease that gets smarter every time they try to fight it. Entire Vex fleets were now dying without ever seeing a human ship. The virus spread through their network faster than they could cut the connections. Their greatest strength had become a pathway for their total destruction. Commander Na-young was tracking enemy movements from her command ship. The Vex were no longer trying to fight, they were running. But humans had been hunters long before. They became space travelers. They are trying to reach their breeding worlds, Na-young reported. If they get there, they can create new fleets. Admiral So-young's response was immediate. Then we make sure they do not get there. All ships, maximum speed. We end this war before they can start building new armies. The human fleet pushed their engines beyond safe limits. Ships that were designed to cruise at light speed were now flying at speeds that made their hulls glow with heat, but they were gaining on the fleeing Vex. When they caught up, the final battle was swift and brutal. The Vex had no fight left in them. The virus had weakened them, and the constant attacks had broken their will. The human fleet destroyed the last of the bioships with methodical efficiency. For the first time in millions of years, the Vex Collective was completely silent. Their neural network was dead. Their fleets were destroyed. Their threat to the galaxy was over. Admiral Wansik broadcast a message to all human ships. This is Wansik. The enemy fleet is eliminated. Prepare for final assault on their home system. We finish this war today. The galaxy watched in amazement and terror as the human fleet prepared for the final strike. The Deathworlders had not just defeated the Vex. They had hunted them to extinction with weapons and tactics that would give civilized beings nightmares for generations. But the war was not over yet. Somewhere in the dark between stars, the Vex, homeworld, waited. And the humans were coming to make sure that nothing like this could ever happen again. 3 months after the first battle, the human fleet arrived at the Vex home system. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the most horrible sight he had ever seen. The entire system was alive. The planets were not rock and metal. They were massive living creatures covered in cities made of bone and flesh. Millions of Vex bioships moved between them like blood cells in a giant body. This was not just their home. This was them. Sir, we are detecting billions of life signs, reported the scanning officer. Her voice was shaking. The entire system is one giant organism. Admiral So-young had arrived with the full human battle fleet. Every ship that Earth could build was here for this final battle. They had come to end the Vex threat forever. Open a channel to all ships, So-young ordered. This is the moment we have been preparing for. The Vex home system contains the source of the infection that has been eating the galaxy. We are going to burn it all. The alien observers who had followed the human fleet could barely believe what they were seeing. The humans were planning to destroy an entire star system. This was beyond warfare. This was extinction. Council Speaker Dae-ho contacted Admiral So-young directly. Admiral, surely you do not mean to destroy everything. There might be innocent life forms down there. "The Vex do not take prisoners," So Young replied coldly. "They do not spare civilians. They consume everything they touch. Today we return the favor." Captain Tae-jin was commanding the heavy weapon platform called Ulsan's Fury. His ship carried the largest nuclear warheads that humans had ever built. Weapons designed to crack planets and turn moons to dust. "All weapon systems armed," Tae-jin reported. "Planet killer warheads ready for deployment. The human fleet spread out across the system." They had learned from months of fighting that the Vex could adapt to any single type of attack. So they brought everything. Fleet Admiral Wansik commanded the assault from his flagship. He had spent his entire career studying warfare, and today he would write the final chapter of the greatest war in galactic history. "Begin Operation Cleansing Fire," Wansik announced. The attack began with Captain Jae-won's nuclear cruisers. They launched hundreds of fusion warheads at the living planets. The explosions were so bright that they could be seen from other star systems. Entire continents of living tissue were vaporized in seconds, but the humans were not done. Dr. Sungmin's bio-warfare ships released clouds of the viral agent that had destroyed the Vex fleets. The virus spread across the planet's surfaces like a plague, killing everything it touched. Engineer Hae-jin's kinetic weapon platforms fired massive uranium slugs at the planet cores. Each projectile hit with the force of a nuclear bomb, cracking the living worlds like eggs and exposing their molten centers. The Vex tried to fight back, but they were too weak. The virus had been spreading through their network for months, and their adaptation systems were failing. When they launched bioships to attack the human fleet, Colonel Ji-hoon's boarding teams were ready. "All teams, prepare for final boarding." "Actions," Ji-hoon announced. "No prisoners, no mercy. Kill everything that moves." Lieutenant Eun-ji led her squad onto a Vex bioship that was trying to protect one of the living planets. The creature was massive, bigger than a human city, but it was dying from the virus. "Move fast," Eun-ji told her soldiers. "Plant the charges and get out. We have 10 minutes before this thing explodes." The human soldiers ran through corridors made of living flesh, setting explosive charges in the creature's vital organs. Behind them, the bioship screamed in languages that no human throat could make. They reached the central nerve cluster just as the creature tried to activate its self-destruct system, but Eun-ji was faster. She planted a nuclear charge directly in the thing's brain and activated the timer. "All teams, extraction now!" she shouted. The human soldiers ran for their ships as the bio-creature began to convulse. When the nuclear charge exploded, the entire ship was torn apart from the inside. Pieces of alien flesh and metal scattered across space like a deadly rain. Captain Seok-min was commanding a squadron of destroyers that were hunting down the last Vex bioships. His ships moved through the system like sharks, destroying everything they found. "Sir, we have located what appears to be their central breeding facility," reported his weapons officer. On the screen, Seok-min could see a moon-sized creature covered in thousands of egg-like structures. New Vex bioships were being born every minute. "Not anymore," Seok-min said grimly. "All ships, focus fire on that target. Use everything we have." The human destroyers unleashed their full firepower on the breeding facility. Nuclear missiles, kinetic weapons, chemical warheads, and viral bombs all hit the target at once. The creature died slowly, its screams echoing through space as its children burned before they could be born. Dr. Mi-young was aboard her laboratory ship, monitoring the viral infection as it spread through the system. The virus had mutated again, becoming even more deadly. It was now attacking the very DNA of the Vex creatures. "The infection has reached critical mass," Mi-young reported with satisfaction. "Their entire species is now infected. Even if some of them survive, they will carry the virus with them. It will kill any new colonies they try to establish." The battle lasted for 12 hours. When it was over, the entire Vex home system was dead. The living planets were cracked and burning. The bioships were floating debris. The greatest threat in galactic history had been completely eliminated. Admiral So-young stood on her command bridge, looking at the destruction. Around her, the human fleet waited for orders. They had done what no other species could do. They had committed genocide against a species that was trying to commit genocide against the galaxy. "This is Admiral So-young to all ships," she announced. "Mission accomplished. The Vex threat has been permanently eliminated. Prepare for return to friendly space." But before they left, Admiral Wansik had one more message to send. He opened a communication channel that would reach every world in the galaxy. "This is Fleet Admiral Wansik of the Human Expeditionary Force. The Vex Collective has been destroyed. Their home system is dead. Their fleets are scattered atoms. Their threat to civilized life is over." He paused, looking at the burning remains of an entire star system. Let this be a lesson to any other species that thinks about eating the galaxy. Earth stands ready. We are your nightmares made real. We are the monsters that kill monsters, and we do not forgive. The message spread across the galaxy faster than light. Every civilized world heard it. The Deathworlders had not just saved them. They had shown what they were capable of when truly angry. 3 months later, the Galactic Council met to discuss humanity's place in civilized society. Ambassador Hyun-ki stood before the assembly, but this time he was not asking for help. He was offering it. "The Human Protection Fleet is now operational," Hyun-ki announced. "We offer defensive pacts to any world threatened by extinction-level events. Our terms are simple. When the monsters come, we will kill them. We ask only that you do not question our methods." Captain Tae-jin became the first human member of the Galactic Defense Force. His methods were controversial, but they were effective. When pirates threatened shipping lanes, he did not negotiate. He hunted them to extinction. Fleet Admiral So-young established human naval bases throughout the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity would defend the innocent, but on their own terms. They would be the galaxy's guardians and its most dangerous inhabitants. Dr. Mi-young's research into the Vex had revealed dozens of other threats to galactic civilization. Parasitic species, machine intelligences, and reality-eating entities that most civilized species had never imagined. The Council realized that their peaceful approach had left them defenseless against true horrors. The story ended with Admiral Wansik addressing the assembled human fleet at the new naval base above.
Earth, the quarantine was over.
Humanity was now part of galactic civilization, but they had joined on their own terms. "They called us monsters," Wansik said to his officers. "They were right. But we are their monsters now. When the darkness comes, when the galaxy cries out for help, we will answer. Not because we are heroes, not because we are noble, but because we are the apex predators of the universe, and this is our territory now." The galaxy had been saved, but at the cost of innocence. The civilized species now knew that survival sometimes required becoming uncivilized. In the darkness between stars, humanity stood as both protector and threat, ensuring that never again would the galaxy cry out for help in vain. The Deathworlders had delivered shock and terror to their enemies, but to their allies, they had delivered something even more valuable: the knowledge that someone was willing to do terrible things to protect them. Earth's children had come home to the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same.